For some 30 years, the Department of Agriculture has released an annual report on the number of Americans living with food insecurity. The Trump administration ended that report, calling it redundant and overly politicized. But getting rid of the data hasn't erased the problem of hunger or the desire to fix it.
There's a traffic jam of shopping carts here at the community food share near Boulder, Colorado.
Any changes to your household information? No.
33-year-old Shannon Patrick waited patiently. She knows the routine. She's a reluctant regular here.
So how long do you think this will last?
The way my 12-year-old is growing, probably a week.
Just a week.
Are you gonna go down?
Shannon is a single mother of 3.
You wanna take this?
Working full-time as a behavioral technician, helping kids with autism. But despite her profession and her education, Shannon barely gets by on her $2,000 a month salary. Tack on rent, student loans, clothes for the kids, and there's very little left for food.
I thought that if I got my bachelor's degree, if I got my master's degree, that would open up so many doors. I wouldn't have to rely on the government. But it just seems like it's not like that.
Like most dealing with food insecurity, she'd rather not talk about it. But she agreed for us because she wanted to show others they're not alone.
It's just like this feeling that society puts on you that you're less than or you're dirty because you have to get this assistance. And I feel almost guilty that like I have these children and I should be able to take care of them, but I'm failing.
You're doing everything you can. I can't imagine what more you could do. Yeah. That's got to be hard on you, though.
Yeah.
Almost 48 million Americans don't get enough to eat.
And look at this little tiger.
Shockingly, about 14 million of those are kids.
There's a notion of earned hunger. The reality is that simply is not manifestly true. That hunger happens here oftentimes in spite of a lot of hard work.
Nigel!
Claire Babineaux-Fontenot is the CEO of Feeding America. That's the nation's largest hunger relief organization. Just 2 years into her tenure, the pandemic hit.
During COVID, one of the areas that Congress had the most bipartisan engagement on was hunger. Food insecurity rates went down to one of the lowest rates we've ever had.
Is that right?
That's right. And most people have no idea that it's true, but it is.
But what happened after COVID?
I guess we thought it was done.
If nothing else, she says, COVID proved that hunger can indeed be fixed.
You do red gravy.
Yeah, we'll do red gravy with it.
We caught up with Claire at one of the hundreds of pantries and food banks under the Feeding America umbrella, here at Southern Louisiana's Second Harvest Food Bank.
Good job, people.
Out of kitchens like this one, Feeding America distributed nearly 6 billion meals last year. Billion, but it still fell short.
And see in the shot of the camera, a lot of food.
Yeah.
And that probably leads to a misconception that there's enough food. There's not enough food. Some of the saddest things I've ever seen with food bankers is when they have to turn people away.
Claire was the first of her family to go to college. She put herself through law school, too. And then she hit a bump in the road.
I went into my refrigerator in my little teeny weeny apartment, and I realized that I literally had nothing to eat. It's interesting how something can happen that long ago and how it can feel like it's happening right now.
She'd heard of the Salvation Army. She didn't want to go. She had to go.
I can remember barely talking above a whisper. And then I remember this lady, she walked up to me and she just had this beautiful warm smile and she said, "You need some help, baby?" And I said, "Yes, ma'am."
The power of that single act of kindness followed Claire the rest of her life. She went on to become a tax attorney, rising to executive vice president and global treasurer for Walmart. No small job.
I've actually met her.
But in 2015, she was diagnosed with breast cancer. It was a tap on the shoulder, she says, to reprioritize her life. So she quit Walmart and made a leap she thought her parents would understand more than anyone. Mary Alice and Warren Babineaux are both gone now. But in their hometown of Opelousas, Louisiana, the family was known for helping shelter, feed, and love almost any child they knew was in trouble.
Hey, sweetie, how you doing?
So much so, Claire ended up with 107 siblings. 107.
And my mom always had this watchful eye. So
On any given Sunday, the Babineaux took up nearly an entire pew here at their church. Some of them were biological, some adopted, some fostered, but Claire won't tell you which is which.
I don't answer that question, mostly because in the not answering, I get to say this. That is the least important thing about our family.
My parents truly believed in feeding the neighborhood.
That's one of Claire's multiple sisters, Cynthia.
I will never forget one day a young man came to the home directly from the hospital with his hospital gown. He said, Mrs. Babineaux said, if I'm hungry, come to the house and I will get food. And my response was, absolutely, and I prepared a meal for him.
This past Christmas,
you know how to get it done.
about 24 Babineaux gathered at the old family house to make food boxes for a nearby senior center, just as their mom used to do.
As long as we do this, we keep the things that she thought were important, we keep those alive.
Seeing need is something Claire was taught. Healing it is something she's practiced. And recognizing need, even in herself, is opening the door to her next chapter. After more than 7 years, Claire will be stepping down as Feeding America's CEO next month. For what? She's not really sure. At 61, she and her husband, with 2 grown kids of their own, might even start being foster parents themselves, she says.
I am deeply committed to this work, and I will always be committed to this work as long as there's work to be done.
Back in Colorado, Shannon Patrick is part of that unfinished work. The kids are cared for, but who is there to care for her?
Do you ever go hungry so they don't have to?
I do. There's times when I just don't eat dinner, and I'll make them dinner. Do you want to help me crack the eggs? Yes! Okay.
But not this week. Breakfast burritos for dinner.
Good job, Girlie.
Everyone seemed happy. Still, next week, the family's hunger clock resets back to 0.
That doesn't mean we're bad people or that we're less worthy. We still should be able to eat. Just because we're low income doesn't mean that we don't deserve to do the same things as other people.